Gaius is a deterministic system that provides fully explainable predictions, interpretable processes, and traceable and editable outcomes. Our reasoning engine is being used for automated decision-making, focused on dynamic tasking, taking into consideration important factors like weapon-target pairing and tip and cue to identify known unknowns. The screen on your left is the UI for our universal reasoning engine. Parameters inside of this UI can be modified based on use case-specific requirements. The screen on your right is our interactive application layer user interface, representing a domain-specific view of the world state, as our reasoning engine makes decisions behind the scenes. The application layer screen features an automatically generated or user-modifiable list of available assets, targets, threats, and unknowns that exist within the battle space. Additionally, a user can adjust world conditions like weather, time of day, and visibility. The application layer can be designed for the specifics of any use case. In the Reasoning Engine UI, the commander's intent is represented as a list of mechanisms for goal states and constraints. Goal states refer to what we call intent and defense mechanisms, or emotive weights you wish to maximize or minimize. If incoming predicted emotives from Gaius cognitive processors fall outside of a fixed threshold as defined within the mechanisms, the reasoning engine is triggered to take real-world actions that would result in new, favorable incoming emotives consistent with the commander's intent. Constraints, on the other hand, do not trigger the reasoning engine, but serve as important parameters that the planning algorithm needs to optimize against in the decision-making process. This reasoning engine UI is universal and applicable for every possible use case. As an example of this flow, we begin to populate the world in our application layer. We automatically populate from data or add all the information that we know and the things we don't yet know about the battle space and submit it for decision support. The user adjusts parameters within the mechanisms field indicative of goal states and constraints that fit the commander's intent for this scenario. Intent is defined by the metrics, their parameters, values, and whether we want the system to minimize or maximize against those values. In this case, we want to minimize threats via the defense mechanism, maximize assets via the intent mechanism, and account for parameters like probability of kill, weapon availability, and target value as constraints in the decision-making process. With this incoming information, as well as the historical information it has received from training and prior experience in its knowledge base, it begins to populate its internal representation of the outside world in real time. The world is represented in the semantic manifold as schemas. Parent schemas, in blue, represent a concept, while instantiations of that schema represent specific instances of that concept being observed. The reasoning engine pulls schemas it believes to be relevant from its knowledge base and begins to disambiguate as data comes in. As the world populates in this scenario with incoming predictions from Gaius cognitive processors, the threat emotive exceeds its fixed threshold as defined by the commander's intent, thus triggering the reasoning engine. The system knows that actions must be taken to reduce the threat level. The dynamic decision flow is engaged. The reasoning engine explores all possible actions and their effects, considering context, commander's intent, and resource availability, before deciding on the best possible action path. Let's take a look at what happened in the real world based on decision support provided by our engine. Our friendly F-35s begin moving and are able to neutralize 2 targets determined to be threats. Removal of these threats changes the active schemas and the threat emotive is minimized. An F-35 was originally headed toward a target near an unknown, but a sensor was able to retrieve missing data to identify the unknown as a threat, thus disambiguating that schema. The threat level is increased and activates the dynamic decision flow. Note that Gaius can make tip and cue requests for more information from different sources if disambiguation affects its decision. Based on the current state of resources, as well as location, the decision is made for the F-35 to reroute as the threat has a greater range of attack than this friendly asset. The best option is to not engage the target within this threat range until this asset is in a better position to do so. As one F-35 reroutes, another is able to neutralize a third target, thus lowering the threat emotive further. Our rerouted F-35 has maneuvered so that it is able to hit the target ship without being in range of the nearby newly detected threat. Elimination of this 4th target returns the threat level to within the acceptable range. Mission parameters have been met. For the purposes of reconstitution and fully deterministic and explainable transparency, users can follow the nodes of the dynamic decision flow to see which actions were taken or avoided based on the context and their effects throughout the scenario. Gaius offers rapid updating for the most up-to-date actions and decision support, sensor fusion, dynamic retasking, and is modular and scalable to provide future-proof architecture flexibility. We built an application layer UI for the purposes of demonstration, but our Gaius engine can integrate just as easily into an existing or third-party UI due to the loose coupling of data intelligence and application layers. Our Gaius machine intelligence provides a world of opportunity for effective AI/ML and reasoning in any highly dynamic environment.